to the Augmentation of Man with Kent and Renee Miller, where we are giving the future.
We're going to talk about genetic change and how the ancients explain how this works.
And we also would encourage you to go back and review, and we're going to review it a little bit, about this outside particle field that is entering our galaxy.
So outside, we're talking about what I've been told, meditation. And we're talking about outside particle field is entering our galaxy. I don't know about the rest of the universe, but our galaxy is bringing subatomic changes, or bringing the level to a different level of subatomic particles. And it's going to change the gaseous atmosphere.
So this particle field that is coming in, they describe it as an outside atmospheric disturbance, and it is going to cause a fusion of smaller particles with larger particles at the subatomic level, and that will increase the density of those particles within our atmosphere, and it's going to have big change for us. So that is going to trigger a sequence of events in the atmosphere that's going to change
to geometric patterns here on this Earth. And as we know, this Earth is arranged so the organisms or the organic material is in conjunction with that geometric pattern here on this planet. So there could be something, new species come out of this change. It's going to be elongated change. It's not immediate.
So stretched out in time. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's stretched out in time.
Okay. So this changes the density of the atoms at the subatomic level. It changes the geometry of the gases in the atmosphere.
Which automatically, when you change the geometry, it changes the vibration of the Earth.
Right. And that change in the vibration radiates out and affects the vibration of the Earth and the vibrational field around the Earth that the Earth is projecting out. And that vibration is going to also affect us and other physical life forms on this planet.
Yeah.
And so what I'd like to do is just to bring up some of the diagrams that a couple of them that we had used before in a previous video. And so what I'm going to do is share that screen. So here we have the Earth and the gaseous atmosphere around the Earth. And here's this outside particle disturbance coming in to our galaxy. And now this morning we were told it has arrived. It is here and it is starting to interact with Earth's gaseous atmosphere and starting to fuse the smaller particles with larger ones in the atmosphere, increasing the density. And this is going to take place over a period of time. That changes the subatomic structure of the atmospheric gases by a fusion of particles. This was the old atmospheric gas. This is the new atmosphere, the new outside particle disturbance that's coming in and it's blending with the current atmosphere. And then that changes the geometry. And this is just kind of a visual. It's not an actual how it's going to change necessarily, although we are being told that it will be more of a triangular pattern. And so that will change by changing the geometry of and how mathematically matter is expressed. That will change the vibration of those gases. And so then let's pull up this second diagram.
So as the geometry changes, the vibration changes, and as the vibration changes, we have to change as a species. All species will have to change on this planet to meet the vibration of this planet.
So we have to be a vibrational match, and it may take some effort on our part to try and and come in sync with the Earth's new vibration. So changing the subatomic structure through fusion and the gaseous atmosphere will change to some degree, maybe not
Yeah.
visually, but at a
you won't
subatomic
see the change.
level.
Yeah, you won't see the change. You may see the change in humanity as far as behavioral, but it won't be a dramatic change you'll see right away.
And we're being told also that there will be species of animals and plant life, etc., that will die off with this change. So you're going to have an extinction of many different species, but then you will have an introduction of new species that will be a vibrational match to where Earth is going. And so, new life forms.
Yeah, so there's waves of matter coming in from outside of this particular planet. And it's originating, and what I saw like the black hole, and around it, outside the black hole, and then a black hole, and then around it, just around the black hole, there was a real bright light, brighter than I can even tell you. And the particles were coming out of that
ring, right?
ring around.
So you saw matter going into, like being sucked into the black hole, but
not
then
a lot of matter, small amount, but more of the particles were coming out.
And so we were
galaxy.
being told that it's a regeneration of matter. So as it goes into a black hole, and it's somehow regenerated and transformed and forced out of the ring around surrounding the black hole.
And I heard these particles were called cosmic life particles.
And it regenerates all organic matter. And so that is this particle stream that is also coming in, and they're saying that it is going to have an effect on matter on this Earth as far as regeneration of organic matter. And that's also going to affect our DNA. But there's some conditions that need to be met with that also. So one of those conditions is that the DNA has to be stretched in order for the DNA repair to more easily be take effect and be accessed, and that DNA is affected by the magnetic poles of the Earth. So around the equator, the DNA is not affected that much. It has a weakened effect, but at the polar ends, then that magnetic field has an effect on our DNA and the ability to stretch it so that it can be repaired.
You stand on the very tip of the North Pole, the very tip of the South Pole, the magnetic field becomes stronger on our magnetic field, because every organic material here on Earth has a level of magnetic field within it. So it's much stronger pull on our magnetic field.
And then when our DNA is stretched, then it's like you have a tangled ball of thread, and you really can't access the inner part of that ball. But when you start to pull the thread apart or the string apart, you can access the strings more easily. And so same thing with the DNA. The DNA, we always see this helix, this spiral of DNA, like a spiral ladder, but it's not straight. That DNA is folded and wound up upon itself into like this little tangled, looks like a little tangled ball. And so when we see the helix, it's stretched out. And when the DNA is stretched out, then it can be repaired more easily, but it also can, these vibrational waves coming in can have an effect on the DNA. And affect the marker, the protein marker placement. So when you look at the DNA ladder, if you got a protein marker on that rung, then that's going to turn that DNA on so it can be expressed. And if it's not there, the DNA is there, but it's not being expressed. So you have to have the protein marker on that rung of the DNA ladder so that the DNA can be behaviorally expressed. And we have a lot of DNA that's not, it doesn't have the protein markers. So this is going to enable protein markers to be placed so that we will have an expanded ability, and that's going to affect how our bodies behave in a neurochemical way, enabling us to do things we haven't been able to do before, and enabling our brains and the chemical reactions within our brains and nervous systems to be able to function on a higher level as we enter into this next cycle, which is about to begin, of higher conceptual learning.
So this is happening not just here on Earth, but other spheres within our galactic system. And we're not sure how far beyond, but we're just told beyond. Okay, so this change, the makeup of the DNA change, the electrochemical functions of our bodies to a higher expression, all this is happening. But this takes a period of time. It doesn't happen immediately or right away. This upgrade must happen to humanity to be able to go to a higher level of thinking. Okay, humanity is not at that higher level of thinking, the conceptual learning. Humanity is not there, I'm told.
Yes, so most of us can't operate on that level because our physical bodies don't enable us to do that. And this change
we
is going
learned
to
enough. We have not learned as a species enough to understand what conceptual learning is.
But this change also is going to take effect within the parents and be passed down genetically to the next generation. So we're not going to see that change so much immediately as we are with future generations.
So how are these vibrational, these particles and all these different things influencing Earth? How's it going to change the weather? How's it going to affect the weather?
Well,
is it going to change the rain patterns?
Yes, we're being told that there's going to be very unpredictable weather patterns, but eventually the rain patterns will change. And our DNA is vibrationally attuned to the field around us and to the earth. So anything that goes on in the field vibrationally is going to affect the way that our DNA reacts. And so this includes the weather patterns. And so when we see the rain patterns change, that creates a fine-tuning effect of our DNA as well. As strange as it seems, this is what the ancients have been telling us. It's hard to wrap your mind around it. And I think we don't fully understand it ourselves. No. But just suffice it to say that vibrationally our physical body is attuned to our atmosphere and what's going on in our atmosphere.
And I don't have an answer for this, but I'm wondering, as human beings interfere or intercept the weather patterns or interfere with the weather patterns, how's it going to affect all this?
Is it inhibiting the changes that are planned for humanity?
I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah. So all these changes, we're being bombarded by different changes beyond what we can see or understand, but they all are creating combined humanity's transformation to a higher level. And they're telling us, our guides, the ancients, who are ancient mentors of the Creator, ancient teachers of the Creator, are telling us that it is going to put humanity into a place where we are returning to our true identity. And that is the true identity is an intellectual being, one that is focused on our learning, which is the purpose of all of creation, is the expanded and ever expanding consciousness and intellectual capacity or understanding of all that is, everything that exists. And
Yeah,
so we're being upgraded to be able to do that.
Yeah, so changes are activating right now. All the new cycle is now being released. And it's going to change many, many things as we know it. Not immediate, gradual change. And what's the word that they use? It means vessels of light.
Okay, so they talked about these beings called spherical beings, and that's SCEUPHAROCAL, spherical beings. It literally, when you translate the probably Latin root words, it means a vessel of light. So these beings are higher conscious beings that will help after these changes occur. They will help us to allow our higher self to take control, and the higher self is what is in charge of our learning
towards
process.
the end of these changes, not right after,
Right.
but towards the end, as we show that we're able to learn.
And also, I did read when I was putting this this outline together, was that all these changes will be taking place, and they won't really be presented. And my interpretation of that is that we won't recognize that change. We won't be able to see that change until the new cycle is, what they said, released. So as the new cycle is opened up, which is the higher conceptual learning cycle, then the change will take place, and the new cycle opens up our ability to see the changes that have been occurring as we speak, yet we are not able to see it.
And I'm wondering if we're not able to see it because we get too involved in our own life or our own small events.
Mhm.
And we get so wound up in what we're doing in our little events that we don't see the changes that are really happening.
Mhm.
I'm just
Yeah,
wondering.
and all the events going that are taking place on Earth today. I mean, we're being bombarded by.
Outside of governments, do you know anything else is taking place? Have you paid any attention to the Earth and humanity in relation to Earth? And have you paying attention to the changes that are taking effect?
The small
because
things.
we get so caught up in in the governments around the world, what they're doing, that we miss. It's like standing in front of a tree and you miss what's going on in the forest because that tree is right in front of you.
Yeah, and I think I relate that to when we first started on our journey. We were, more concerned with certain material things in our world and events in our world. But as you start your spiritual journey and you start to notice all the little minuscule signs, really pay attention to every little minute thing going on around you, the smallest of things that you normally wouldn't have ever paid attention to, then really miraculous type events start happening to you because you're watching, you're really paying attention to the field and small things within the field that are like the arrows pointing you to bigger realizations and spiritual events in your life that have life-changing abilities.
So we are in a transformation, as we know. And this is not just humanity's transformation, it's all organic matter's transformation.
Mm-hmm. But it is also within the galaxy and beyond. Everything is being moved up in its vibration and in its intellectual capacity.
Yeah, and when we say moving up in vibration, moving up in understanding.
Mhm.
For those beings that are able to understand, we're not there yet, but there are many beings in this galactic field that do understand and are learning more, which is good for us if we are going to be helped on our way.
Mhm. And in communication with
Right.
those other beings, because they're going to help us to accelerate
Yeah.
in our level of understanding.
No, these
And
alien beings are not alien. Oh, everybody's so afraid of the word alien being. And they find radio transmitters within themselves or whatever. If you're going to try to help a species move along, you have to know the direction they're going in to begin with.
and we are being monitored as a race from outside. So yes, we shouldn't be afraid. This transformation is our upgrade. And so we should be not resisting it, but rather welcoming it and welcoming the positive change. And this is not going to affect everybody.
No, it's not, unfortunately.
So there are people who are further along in their spiritual path and they're able to understand. They have the ability to understand at a higher level. And these changes are going to affect them because they're ready. And other people will not be ready and they're not as far along as in their understanding and will not be able to move into this new
They're
cycle.
ready to move to the next level.
Right.
So with that, we hope you understood what we just transpired today toward you. And I hope you just think about the things that we said. Think about it and take them to heart and see what resonates with you. And with that, I would say thanks for being with us.
And I would say that go back and review some of our older videos. We have not been as active lately. And in your spare time, if you want to review those videos, they're all still pertinent. They're all very good information. And I think that we all need reminders now and then because we do tend to forget. That's the nature of our current physical bodies.
Last word. Look around your environment, not your neighbors or the people down the street or your government or their state legislatures or any of that. Look at your environment, the plants, the species, the things that actually make this earth work. Take more time and look at those and you're going to be amazed at what you see that you didn't know was there.
Mm-hmm. And all the little minute things, you know, that just that you normally wouldn't pay attention to. It doesn't necessarily have to be only the plants and the animals, but just all the little signs that are there just for our taking if we only notice.
All right.
So peace be with you on your journey to enlightenment. Do subscribe. Do share. If you find this information valuable, share it with others and leave us a comment in the comment section below. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day.